Carol Burnett is a beloved comedic icon who rose to fame on The Carol Burnett Show. That successful variety show made Carol a household name and also made her rich. Despite this, she continued to perform in various capacities after her show ended, and she still tries to keep active today. Join Factsverse as we explore Carol Burnett's lifestyle at 88 years old. Actress Carol Burnett was born in San Antonio, Texas on April 26, 1933. Her parents were alcoholics, and they left Carol to live with her grandmother when she was young. Her grandmother took her to Hollywood, and the two shared a passion for Golden Age cinema. It was this passion that led her down the path to becoming a performer in her own right. But first, she had to find her footing. After attending Hollywood High School, Carol studied theater at the University of California. While attending the school, she began seeking out acting roles. She ended up finding some in both theater and TV, but found her initial success thanks to a novelty song she performed in a nightclub act. It was called I Made a Fool of Myself over John Foster Dulles. Although the name of John Foster Dulles might not ring bells nowadays, he was then the Secretary of State. The success of the song opened gates for Carol to get her first big break on television, performing on The Paul Winchell Show in 1955. She also had numerous other TV successes throughout the 50s. She appeared alongside Buddy Hackett on the 1956 sitcom Stanley and was a regular on Stump the Stars, a game show where celebrities were forced to test their knowledge for the audience. By the end of the 50s, Carol had become a recognizable figure via her numerous appearances on TV, but she also was becoming a star on Broadway. She earned her first Tony nomination with her 1959 appearance as Princess Winifred in the musical Once Upon a Mattress. As a redhead with a natural proclivity for comedy, Carol felt a great kinship with Lucille Ball. While a younger comedian looking to take over their niche might have intimidated other stars of the time, Lucille took to Carol and became somewhat of a mentor for the younger star. This relationship led to Lucille casting Carol as a guest star on The Lucy Show, which was her successor sitcom to I Love Lucy. This appearance brought Carol to more eyes than ever, and her own series was just around the corner. In 1967, Carol finally got her own show. The Carol Burnett Show was an overnight success and turned her into a household name. The series was a variety show and was the last majorly successful variety show of its kind. After its start in 1967, the Carol Burnett Show lasted until 1978. Over this time period, Carol also expanded her resume by appearing in a few notable films, including Robert Altman's 1978 feature, A Wedding. By the time the Carol Burnett Show was over, Carol was wealthy enough to never have to work another day in her life, but she's continued performing sporadically until today. In recent years, the majority of her appearances in media have been on TV. Burnett appeared on the hit series Hot in Cleveland and Glee, and even appeared on the recent revivals of the nostalgic classics Mad About You and Hawaii Five-0. Today, it's estimated Carol is worth around $45 million, much of which she accumulated as a result of her time on The Carol Burnett Show. Carol's wealth has allowed her to live a luxurious lifestyle, and she arguably deserves it after all she's given to the entertainment industry. Carol has had the opportunity to own and occupy numerous expensive properties in her time, including a house with a beautiful ocean view in Montecito, Santa Barbara, which she purchased for $2 million in 1999. She initially had plans to remodel and then sell the home, having even attempted to sell it for as much as $50 million. However, Carol is still living in the property. In 2008, Carol sold an apartment at Trump Towers that overlooked Central Park. It was sold for $6 million. Carol also currently owns an apartment in Manhattan and a sizable property in Santa Fe. This property was featured on the cover of Architectural Digest in 1996. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Factsverse for more. And stick around for a lot more about Carol Burnett. Today, Carol Burnett is 88 years old and living in her Santa Barbara property with her third husband, a musician named Brian Miller. Carol was set to perform a string of shows before COVID-19 hit, with dates set in many major locations around the nation. But the dates had to be postponed, and Carol subsequently spent time isolating with her husband and their cat at home. At 88, Carol is still keeping active. She wakes up early in the morning, keeps an orderly house, has a healthy breakfast, and tries to walk on the treadmill for at least 30 minutes every day. Besides that, she and her husband are sure to get out and take walks, a habit they maintained even during the most strict days of the COVID-19 quarantine. They live in a gated community and maintain healthy social relationships with their neighbors. All in all, it appears as if Carol is living an idyllic life with her third husband, although she's been through a lot to get where she is today. She was married twice previously before finding lasting love with her third husband. Her first marriage started before she even became famous. In 1955, Carol married her college sweetheart, Don Saroyan. Like Carol, Don was an aspiring entertainer. The two made the decision after marrying to move to New York to try an acting career together. When Carol started getting more roles, he didn't take it lightly. Problems started developing between the two, and they divorced in 1962. She didn't wait long before finding a second husband. He was a television producer named Joe Hamilton, and they married in 1963. Joe went on to produce The Carol Burnett Show. Just as she had done when trying to start an acting career with her first husband, Carol was once again mixing business and personal life. However, her marriage to Joe ended up being a good deal more successful than her first. Joe had been married previously and had a whopping total of 8 kids before marrying Carol. While these 8 may have been more than enough for the average couple, Carol and Joe weren't content. They ended up having 3 kids together, Jody, Erin, and Carrie. Carol and Joe were married for a little over 2 decades before eventually divorcing, meaning the two were married for much longer than Carol and Dawn had been. Carol later went on to remarry, but she's never had any more children. Not long after Carol and Joe divorced, Joe died of cancer in 1991. Carol waited nearly 20 years before marrying her third husband, Brian Miller. Although Brian isn't nearly the celebrity Carol is, he's still somewhat of an interesting figure in the entertainment industry. He's a musician working as the principal drummer of the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra. Notably, he's about 20 years younger than Carol, although this age difference has never gotten in their way. The two married in 2001, and their marriage appears to have survived through isolation during COVID-19. Sadly, one of the 3 children Carol had with her second husband passed away in the early 2000s. That was Carrie Hamilton, who suffered from serious drug addiction issues throughout her life. In 2002, Carrie died of lung cancer, and the event greatly devastated her mother. Carol ended up writing about the death of her daughter in the book Carrie and Me, a mother-daughter love story. This isn't the only way in which drug addiction has affected Carol's kids, as Erin Hamilton currently suffers from issues with drug addiction. Erin has a child of her own, and Carol and Brian petitioned for custody of him in 2020. Carol has yet to return to performing in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, but it appears the tour dates that she canceled at the start of the pandemic have been rescheduled for 2022. If Carol keeps up her healthy lifestyle, hopefully we can look forward to seeing her continue to pop up every now and then in the entertainment industry. In the meantime, the beloved comedic icon has left behind plenty of great works that fans can enjoy while she basks in her Santa Barbara life of luxury. Now it's time to hear from you. Comment down below to share if you're glad to hear Carol is still doing well, or if you're going to try to track down a ticket to one of her upcoming performances. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts Verse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.